As a cinematographer and a DP, our job is to take a director's vision or a story and translate that into a visual language. And we have certain variables to control the lighting, and obviously production design goes into that, and acting and everything. To really control your scene and your image, you need to understand the quality of light that your sources are outputting. So for example, the sun changes all the time, the quality of light. If it's overcast or partly cloudy or sunny, if it's day or if it's night, that quality of light is constantly changing. And as cinematographers, we need to learn how that variable affects our images, which obviously has to do with learning the quality of light that different sources produce. An LED panel is going to be a different quality than a light shooting into a bounce, and we use these variables to make a certain mood out of our story or image or whatever. But quality of light, to me, has been the most important thing to learn how to control properly. So for this week, I shot the same shot over and over again of myself with different lighting setups, coming from the same exact direction. So everything was kept the same for each one of these shots, and I could make a video for each one of these setups, and eventually I'll get into that. You can tell by these images that the quality of light can change everything drastically. What I found really interesting was how much the tint changed. And I know the sun goes in and out a little bit differently depending on the shot, but it's weird to see how much the tint changes depending on what source I'm using. And that just lets you know LED lights are not perfect. Obviously the shot with the Aputure 300D with the reflector dish that's beamed straight into my face is gonna look completely different to a Cove lighting setup. Doing this little experiment thing, it was very interesting to see what these different qualities of light affect the mood of each one of these shots, even though they're the same shot. I just wanted to ramble a little bit about what I was thinking when looking back at this footage and how drastic the differences are. And this experiment was kind of scary to me because that was only changing one variable for each of these setups, and they are drastically different from each other in ways that I did not predict. For example, you can see how each source affects the background as well, because a book light is going to be a lot bigger source, which is going to hit the background more than the Amaran light that has a grid on it. What I do, and obviously a very common thing to determine how hard a light is to look at the shadows. As you can see in these examples, how that lighting is affecting the fall off on my face. The shot with the Aputure reflector dish, that is a single source light beaming into my face, so the shadows are going to be very, very hard and pronounced, and the contrast is going to be a lot more. And then you go to your book light, and you can see the shot is completely changed, and the fall off from the light side to the dark side of my face is a lot softer, and that's what I mean by the quality of light. Just to give you guys a little live example, this key light, this is the Amaran F21. You can tell it's soft-ish. You can see the shadow on my face. It's not completely a super soft source, but it's like a good middle ground, which is why I really like this light. I think the only way to really learn how to control this variable and make the right decisions on set is to practice this yourself. Light responds weirdly to whatever scene you're shooting, depending on what fixture you're using. With light, I cannot tell you how important it is to understand this topic. I'm learning how to make things look more realistic and make things look less like there's a light lighting it, if that makes sense. Next week's video is going to be a breakdown on my senior thesis Loverman and how I lit it and what we used, and I'll give you guys like the pre-production stuff that we did. That project was insane and super fun. So I just want to talk about it next week, but that is going to be this week's video.